Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're convening the Committee on Higher Education and Technology in room 309. Today is Friday, March 15th, 2024. To my side is my Vice Chair Capella, and we will be hearing three measures today. And I just wanted to provide a little bit of guidance for the folks who are online. If you're on Zoom, please make sure that your Zoom background does not have any copyrighted or trademarked images. And if you could please keep yourselves muted until you are asked to speak and to provide your testimony, and mute yourselves thereafter. If we are disconnected, we will recess until we can adjourn and reconvene and bring everybody back together. And then I would also like to ask that folks who are providing testimony do so in as civil a way as possible. And we are also joined by Rep. Todd. So we'll go ahead and get started with HR 34, HCR 34, HR 23.
Thank you, Chair. Moving forward with our hearing, we have HCR 34, HR 23, declaring disinformation and digital hate speech as threats to democracy and urging departments and agencies to address these threats. I'm going to take them in tandem. First up, we have Democratic Party of Hawaii in support, but not present. We also have the Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action in support, but also not present. I will say that we also have 7 individuals all in support, and we also have Elijah Cristobal in support, in person.
Hello, Chair Pruso, Vice Chair Capella, and members of the committee. My name is Elijah Cristobal, and I am strong support of HRC 34, which declares digital hate speech as a threat to democracy. This resolution is important to me because my wife has received threats to her work from digital hate. She nor any government employee should have to be afraid to go to their office and do their job. I worry about my wife when she goes to work. People online have threatened her, and her coworkers should be killed because of the work they do. I want to protect my wife, but there's nothing I can do when she goes to work. I look to all the policymakers and leaders to help keep my wife and everyone else safe from online hate and threats. Thank you to Vice Chair Capella for introducing this important measure, and thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony.
Thank you so much for your testimony. That's all I have on my testifiers list in person. Is there anyone else in the room that is wishing to testify? Or on Zoom? Seeing none, members, are there any questions?
I have a question for the
Chair.
So for, if you could actually come back to the podium, my question is for you. And my question is with regard to the nature of the threats or the source of the threats to your wife's safety. So it's my understanding that she is an employee in this building, a staffer. And I guess my question is, if you could describe with a bit more detail about the source or the origin of those threats. And you can talk in general terms, but just so that the public has a better understanding of the kinds of challenges that staff members face in the building.
From what I know, there has been like death threats to even like specifying individuals from another worker in this building. Like that's about all like the general knowledge I have. But it's just worrying that like this should be a safe workplace. Like no one should feel threatened here. Like this shouldn't be tolerated, because like if they just sweep it under the rug, it's gonna happen again. You know. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I also just want to say thank you so much for testifying. I think you bring up this really important measure and this really important matter that the building should be a safe space for all people, for legislators, and especially for their staff. And if we can't keep staff safe, then I think it's really a shame. And it's a disappointment on behalf of the House. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed immediately. So thank you. We're going to move on to SB 3192, SD1, relating to the University of Hawaii Research, makes permanent the Innovation and Commercialization Initiative program established within the University of Hawaii, and it takes effect on 6/29/2024. Up first, we have University of Hawaii in support in person.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. We stand in support of our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We also have testimony from the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii in support, but not present. Is there anyone else on this measure wishing to testify on this measure? In person or on Zoom? Okay, seeing none. Members, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to our last measure, SB 2527, SD1, relating to taxation for taxable years beginning after December 31st, 2024, temporarily reinstates the Technology Infrastructure Renovation Tax Credit and expands the definition of technology-enabled infrastructure to include data servers. Up first, we have Department of Taxation with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Some supplement to our written testimony. Expected revenue loss in fiscal year 2026 of $400,000, in fiscal year 2027 of $500,000. Other than that, would stand on our testimony available for questions.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Up next, we have Mi Young Oh with SurfPack in support in person. Not present. We have Tom Yamachika, Tax Foundation of Hawaii, with comments.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We have submitted written testimony. We'll send our written comments and be available for questions.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We have testimony and support from Charter Communications, Hawaiian Telecom, and Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii as submitting comments. And then we also have testimony and support from Hawaiian Electric. That's all I have on my testifiers list. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Okay, seeing none, members, any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to recess for decision making.
Actually, if I have the permission of the members, I'd like to move straight into decision making. Are there any objections? Okay, seeing none. On HCR 34, HR 23, Chair's recommendation is to pass out as is. Members, are there any questions or concerns? Noting the presence of Representative Zuno. Vice Chair for the vote.
Can I make a quick comment, Chair?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I do want to thank everyone who testified on this measure, including our one in-person testifier, Mr. Cristobal. And I'm sorry for the challenge that your wife has been facing here at work. I think we live in really challenging times, and more technology has become an integral part of our society. That comes with tremendous benefits, but yet it also carries significant concerns. As this resolution states, recent reports have noted that digital hate speech has been linked to a global increase in violence towards minorities. Additionally, a 2018 report found that 64% of teenagers in the United States have encountered hate speech on social media. I think we cannot allow disinformation and misinformation and threats of extreme violence to corrode our democracy. Government officials, public employees, anyone who works in this building, and everyday citizens, I think, are regularly subjected to hate speech and threats of violence. My office is no different. We've experienced a lot of that, I think, as many offices this year have as well. No one should be afraid to participate in the process or in our political processes. And at their core, these measures are about safeguards for our democracy. So I just want to say thank you, Chair, for moving this measure forward.
Are there any additional comments or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on HR 23, and can I take them in conjunction?
Yes.
And HCR 34, Chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Lachika? Representative Martin is excused. Representative Martinez? Aye. Representative Matayoshi is excused. Representative Mizuno?
Aye.
Representative Quinlan is excused. Representative Todd? Aye. Representative Woodson? Aye. Representative Garcia is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. On SB 3192 SD1, Chair's recommendation is to pass out as an HD1, defecting the effective date. Members, are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 3192 SD1, Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Chair's recommendation is to pass out with amendments. Noting the excused absences of Representatives Martin, Matayoshi, Quinlan, and Garcia. Are there any reservations or noes? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Last measure, SB 2527 SD1, relating to taxation. Chair's recommendation is to pass out as an HD1, defecting the effective date, and noting in the committee report DOTAX's testimony as to the expected revenue loss of $400,000 this year and $500,000 next year, if I have that correct, and if I need to be corrected, if we can amend those, but I do want to note those amounts in the committee report. Members, are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 2527 SD1, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye, noting the excused absences of Representatives Martin, Matayoshi, Quinlan, and Garcia. Are there any reservations or noes? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. We are adjourned.